Hi, everybody. It is Tuesday, October 27th. One more week till the big election day. Feeling very good. Um, in fact, Joe Biden is feeling very confident they're going on offense. He is going to be doing two rallies in the state of Georgia, which a Democrat hasn't won since Bill Clinton won in 92. But right now, the latest poll has them tied with Trump. He's going to do a rally in Warm Springs. That's where FDR had his winter White House, and then he's going to talk about something about the recovery, kind of like in the spirit of FDR, the plans that Joe Biden has for this country when he becomes president. And then he's going to do a big drive-in rally in Atlanta. So I just messaged my friend Danny to see if he's going to go to Atlanta or go to the rally today. Anyway, let's get started. Okay, what's it look like? A few more sunny days, which is great. Then little showers on Friday, but then it looks like we're gonna break for most of the weekend, which is great, and then showers next week. I'll take it. Um, well, it's gonna be nice on Saturday, but who's gonna go trick or treating? I think trick or treating has been suspended due to COVID. This is really interesting. Remember when Trump had won the election in December of 2016? He announced this deal with the owners of the Carrier plant. That's the Carrier air conditioning plant. They're moving all the jobs out of Indiana to Mexico. Well, he did this deal where he said he talked to Carrier. They would get some tax breaks from Indiana, some Fed tax breaks, and they would save 800 jobs from moving to Mexico. Well, actually, all those jobs actually didn't materialize. In fact, this year, Indiana employers have moved jobs to Mexico, China, and India. 17 companies, big companies like Stanley Black & Decker, Altex, and Dodge Controls. So Trump has not delivered on his promise to quote unquote bring manufacturing jobs back to the US. Remember, he had that big deal with China's Foxconn, $10 billion deal to create 13,000 jobs in Wisconsin. Well, that turned out to be a bust. Um, Fast forward 4 years later, only 520 jobs actually materialized in Wisconsin, and they just invested 300 million. In fact, Wisconsin just went back to Foxconn to ask for a rebate of the tax break that they got. In fact, today, the US has fewer factory workers than when Trump was inaugurated, and about as many as we had in 1941 in the middle of World War II. Indiana manufacturing jobs are at a 6-year low. So this needs to be promoted throughout the Midwest, through the states of Michigan, Ohio, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. Trump did not deliver on what he promised. In fact, that shows you how the U.S. labor bill statistic that manufacturing has basically been dying. And again, it's all about, we need to focus like in Germany. Germany focuses on high-end manufacturing, which needs highly skilled employees. That's what Germany has done. We have not done that. So that's what happens. We have low-skilled manufacturing jobs. They can easily go to Mexico, China, and India. Money is a huge advantage. Biden Harris has been out fundraising Trump past since I think July 1st. And that shows it here. So in the last week, this is how much the Biden Harris campaign is outspending Trump. They're outspending them by 67 million in advertising, Florida to 43. Pennsylvania, they're outspending them by 41 million to 15 million. That's huge. North Carolina, 30 million to 18 million. In fact, Trump and Pence actually pulled out of Michigan since Trump or Biden and Harris are winning by about almost 10 points. Then Arizona, they're outspending them 26 million to about 16 million, so about almost $10 million. Also, if you look at cash on hand, which is key, the Biden-Harris campaign has $162 million in cash on hand versus Trump-Pence's 43.6. And even look at the PACs. So the PACs have 331 million in Biden-Harris versus the Trump side 223. So you can see that the Biden Harris ticket has their cash on hand, including their PAC's cash on hand, is $493 million, almost a $500 million. And poor Trump only has about 266 $1 million. So that's going to make a big difference when you pay for all the ads in the last week. Here's something interesting, and I've always known this, but I kind of want to look into this. So there's three big things that make British elections so different from American elections. For example, it's number one, they have a limit on spending. So if you looked at UK's 2017 general election for all the political parties, candidates, et cetera, they were limited to spending about 40 million pounds, which is equivalent to about 30 million US dollars. That's it. Compared to 2016 US elections, presidential candidates, Senate, House, political parties, outside interest groups, they spent a whopping $6.5 billion. UK, they spent 30 million, and we spent 6.5 billion. What a damn waste of money. And the other thing too, Britain has a ban on political advertising on commercial television and radio. The parties are instead given free time to screen short pre-election broadcasts on TV. So it's very controlled, but they're given free, basically, time on BBC, for example. And the third thing that makes it different, it is so much shorter than ours. Our last election, presidential election that happened, in 2016, lasted 600 days, almost, 2 years. The official campaign period in the UK is 25 working days or 5 weeks. Can you imagine if you only had to deal with this campaign for 5 weeks? Oh my God, that would be a breath of fresh air. That won't ever happen here, unfortunately, but it's good to compare. Okay, here we go. Like I said, the Biden-Harris team is very comfortable. Wisconsin, they're up by about 8 or 9. Michigan, up by 8 or 9. Pennsylvania saw a poll, they're up by about 7. They're about tied in Ohio right now, and they're ahead in North Carolina by a little bit, and ahead in Florida by a few percentage points. So what that gives the Biden and Harris campaign an opportunity to go on the offense. So while Trump is sitting there defending Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, and Wisconsin, the Biden and Harris campaign can go on the offense, go in states that they lost, that Trump won, but the polls show that it's very close. For example, in Georgia, today Biden is going to go to Warm Springs, where FDR's winter White House was. He's going to do a speech about, basically very similar to in an FDR theme, about recovery after Biden gets in, about resolving or getting the pandemic under control, and then putting a plan to create jobs and help our economy that's been devastated by COVID. So there, and then he's going to do a drive-in rally in Atlanta, some big stadium parking lot somewhere. So again, the last polls there showed, from the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, showed Biden and Trump as tied. Biden will also go to Iowa this week. That has actually, the latest polls has Biden winning by about 1 or 2 percentage points, which is pretty incredible. Obama is going to be in Orlando today to help in Florida. A vice presidential candidate, Kamala Harris, will be in Texas. Since we just had a poll in Texas, Dallas Morning News had Biden up by 3 in Texas, which is incredible, since Trump won that by about 15 to 20 percentage points in 2016. And Arizona, Kamala's going to be venturing out to Arizona because that state is pretty competitive with Biden, Harris leading by about 3 or 4 percentage points. So that's the campaigning as we are a week out from the election. So let's go ahead and get a story from PBS NewsHour on what we just talked about in terms of the campaigns and what they're focusing on. Pennsylvania is actually a huge state, and Trump cannot afford to lose that, even though right now he's down by about 7 percentage points.
The clock is ticking down and the candidates' schedules are tightening up tonight in the U.S. presidential election. And as they enter the home stretch, the coronavirus is again roiling the race.
So thank you very much, Allentown.
And I like Luzerne County. Bill, thank you.
As the candidates enter the final week of the presidential campaign, the COVID-19 pandemic is top of mind. The White House has once again been rattled by the virus after at least 5 of Vice President Pence's close aides tested positive over the weekend. White House doctors said he's considered essential personnel and cleared Mr. Pence to keep up his schedule, stumping today in Minnesota.
4 more years means more jobs in the Iron Range and all over Minnesota. 4 more years means more judges who will defend our liberties. 4 more years means more support for our police and more support for our troops.
But the rally also violated the state's COVID restrictions, as many of President Trump's campaign events have done. This comes after the U.S. set a new daily record for COVID-19 infections on Friday and nearly matched that high on Saturday, more than 83,000 new cases. President Trump continues to assure Americans the virus is under control, and he claims the number of cases is surging because the country has ramped up testing. In fact, records show testing accounts for only a small percentage of the rise in cases. But on Sunday, White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows made this concession.
We're not going to control the pandemic. We are going to control the fact that we get vaccines, therapeutics, and other mitigation
Why aren't we going to get
areas.
control?
For his part, President Trump made 3 stops today in the battleground state of Pennsylvania.
Now, Pennsylvania gets it. By the way, we win Pennsylvania, we win the whole thing. You got to get out there. You got to win. Big deal, right?
Meanwhile, this afternoon, Biden paid a brief visit to a site involved in turning out Democratic voters in Delaware County, Pennsylvania.
The bottom line is Donald Trump is the worst possible president, the worst possible person to try to lead us through this pandemic. And I don't think he just either doesn't have any idea what to do or he just doesn't care.
Joe Biden campaigned in northeastern Pennsylvania on Saturday.
Trump ran around saying he represents the forgotten man and woman in this country. I get it. But then he got elected and he immediately forgot the forgotten man.
I spoke to voters from the area, which was key in helping then candidate Trump take the entire state back in 2016. Northeast Pennsylvania experienced the largest regional flip in the state. President Obama's roughly 36,000 vote margin in 2012 switched to an 86,000 vote margin for Mr. Trump. Jim Haig lives outside Allentown. Didn't vote for either Mr. Trump or Hillary Clinton in the last election. This year, he's voting Biden, based on what he's seen from the president.
Over time, I mean, day after day, month after month, it became evident to me that there really was no vision, that there really was no moral compass. Joe Biden was walking down the sidewalk and found somebody's wallet, he would pick it up and make sure it got back to that person immediately. Where I think Donald Trump would pick that same wallet up, take the cash and credit cards out, and just throw it back on the sidewalk.
Annie Howell is a staunch Trump supporter who lives in Luzerne County, Pennsylvania, where Mr. Biden campaigned Saturday. Howell praised the president's handling of the pandemic and the economy.
I think that he was very proactive and aggressive in his approach. I don't see how he could have done things any better at all. And I'm very in line with him wanting to reopen the economy. People are suffering.
As you know, there's a lot of comment about the president's style, the strong language he uses in going after his critics, people he disapproves of, the tweeting and so forth. Do you have thoughts about all that? Does that matter to you?
I see it as an asset. I'm not opposed to it at all. And I think a lot of people think what he's thinking, but he actually has we'll call it bravery to express it.
Leah Kasner supported Hillary Clinton in the 2016 election and was shocked by the Trump victory.
I had hoped our institutions would be strong enough to withstand even a Donald Trump, but I fear that that has proven not to be the case.
And then along comes the pandemic, and you watched, and what did you see?
Nothing being done that needed to be done. The refusal to listen to the scientists, the belittling of it. In this area, we have many people don't take it seriously.
Kasner also praised Mr. Biden for choosing California Senator Kamala Harris as his running mate.
I think his selection of Kamala has been very good for my view of him. I really felt that he was not quite as respectful of women and of people of color as he could have been, and this has certainly changed my view of that.
Stephen Williams is a Trump supporter from Coopersburg. He says he doesn't always agree with the president's attacks on Joe Biden or his reluctance to wear a mask.
I don't like the way President demeans people. It's not very presidential. That's not my style. That bothers me, but the real reason I'm a Republican is because of abortion. The Democratic Party supports abortion, and I'm totally against it.
So, thinking about the Trump presidency, how have you thought of it? What's your impression been?
I think he's kept a lot of his promises, most of them actually. I've been pleased with the economy, with the sovereign borders, with relations with China and other countries, the trade deals. I've been very pleased with what he's done so far.
With 8 days left until the election, early voting has already soared to record highs. More than 60 million people have cast ballots. That is more than the total who voted early or absentee in 2016.
That was a good report from PBS NewsHour on how the campaign is going, and heard from some voters and really critical part of Pennsylvania. And Pennsylvania is going to be a really key state for Biden and Trump. Biden is going to win. Here's a look at how Senator Lindsey Graham's support for now Justice Barrett has affected his re-election bid in South Carolina. Again, Lindsey Graham is like a three-term senator from South Carolina. He should be winning this race by 25 percentage points, but guess what? He's been outraised by the Democrat Jamie Harris, and I think Jamie's raised like about 60 million to like 20 million for Graham. Here's a look right now. The latest poll has Jamie Harrison leading by about 2 percentage points. So here's a story about the race in South Carolina.
The confirmation battle over Amy Coney Barrett has put Judiciary Committee Chairman Lindsey Graham in the political hot seat as he seeks a fourth term in the U.S. Senate. With 1 week left in the campaign, Gavin Jackson of South Carolina ETV reports on how Graham's Democratic challenger is making this a closer race than even Democrats expected.
A park near Charleston, South Carolina, transformed into a political battlefield where more than 100 supporters sounded the war cry with their car horns as Democrat Jamie Harrison rallied his base.
Enough is enough with the hatred. Enough is enough with the bigotry. Enough is enough with the division.
This Senate race has become the closest statewide contest in decades, one that has Senator Lindsey Graham in the political fight of his life.
He said the main reason he's running against me is because of the way I behaved in Kavanaugh. The main reason I'm going to win is because of the way I behaved in Kavanaugh.
The same issues that are driving tight polls and record-breaking fundraising by Harrison are the issues Graham hopes will secure him stronger conservative support and a fourth term, his close support of President Donald Trump and his Supreme Court nominees.
And thank you more than anything else for putting up with the never-ending bull you have to go through.
Graham's push to confirm a Supreme Court nominee in an election year, despite his previous stance to the contrary, has left many Graham voters fed up.
Senator Graham has really disappointed me. I voted for him several times, right out of his mouth, what he said. Use these words against me. And I did. I used these words against him.
Let's say I'm a 40-year Republican voter, but, you know, We're voting Biden and Harris. The last 4 years have been so emotionally disruptive. I had voted for Lindsey, but sometimes they're just in office too long. Sometimes you just need to change.
Losing moderates and center-right Republicans who helped him win the 2014 primary and later that election by 17 points is one critical way Jamie Harrison has a pathway to victory. But Graham is still holding on to plenty of Republicans and enticing others in places like Anderson, which is part of the ultra-conservative upstate region of South Carolina.
6 years ago, I probably said I wouldn't have voted for him, but he's come around to fight for our country, and so I'll stand by him.
I think it's better that he's closer to the president now because he stands up for him when all the demon rats in the world are against him.
Anderson is also home to longtime Republican activist Susan Aiken, who first met Graham when he ran and won his first race for the 3rd Congressional District as part of the Republican Revolution of 1994.
There's been times I have not agreed with him, but I'm kind of like Ronald Reagan said, if you agree with me 80% of the time, you're 80% my friend, not 20% my enemy.
Jamie Harrison, a former congressional aide, state party chair, lobbyist, and currently associate chairman with the Democratic National Committee, says Graham's radical shift is why he got in the race last September.
I'm about doing the people's work.
While South Carolina is growing and Democrats are energized from the 2018 flip of the 1st Congressional District, home to Charleston and a growing number of new residents, State Democratic Party Chairman Trav Robertson admits the state is far off from becoming as blue as its neighbors.
I don't know that we're a purple state. I think that South Carolina is an independent state that trends Republican because Democrats have not necessarily run the best of campaigns. And I think that's one of the things that makes Jamie's campaign so successful is that he's actually talking about the values that bind us instead of the fear that separates us.
And the fundraising has been successful as well. Harrison's third quarter, $57 million fundraising haul shattered the Senate record. Even Graham broke Senate GOP records by raising $28 million. While the two continue to saturate airwaves, social media sites, and mailboxes like they have for months, Harrison's overall fundraising is on track to total $100 million. The money has boosted party coffers, funded a wave of resources that will help down-ballot candidates now and assist in future statewide races as Democrats look toward the next battle in their war to shift the state. For the PBS NewsHour, I'm Gavin Jackson in Columbia, South Carolina.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible that Jamie Harrison has raised over $100 million to Lindsey's like $30 million. I actually donated some money, like $10 or $15 to Jamie Harrison. He's gotten a lot of money from out of state. Because everyone like me that are liberal hate Lindsey Graham and what he's done. He has definitely gone against what he used to do when he was with John McCain when he was a moderate Republican. John McCain is rolling in his grave right now. If he saw what Lindsey Graham is doing right now and cuddling to Trump, who Trump and McCain hate each other. So here's good luck to Jamie Harrison in the last week, and hopefully he will beat Lindsey Graham next Tuesday. That'd be a great upset. Here's a really good ad from my favorite Republican organization, the Lincoln Project. They just get on Trump's nerves because their ads are incredible. Here is a commercial called Biden's Moment.
America is hurting. There's a sickness in the land, more than just a virus that could have been controlled long ago. Our faith is being tested. Our faith in each other, and the goodness of America. This is Joe Biden's moment. What his life prepared him for. Not an easy life, but being an American isn't about what's easy. It's about never giving up. He came from a family on hard times, overcame a crushing disability, endured the worst loss a man can imagine, and he never gave up. Joe Biden kept the faith that love is stronger than hate, that kindness is stronger than anger.
As I look across America today, hope seems elusive.
Today, it's not easy in America. Maybe it's destiny.
My answer is this:
maybe a higher power.
You and I are part of a covenant.
But once again, the right leader is here to bring us together.
If we do our part,
This is Joe Biden's moment.
if we stand together,
This is our moment.
then the divisions of our time will give way
This is America.
to the dreams of a brighter, better future. We can be what we are at our best, the United States of America.
The Lincoln Project is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Wow, that was a powerful ad. Great ad by the Lincoln Project. You would have thought that was done by the Biden campaign. No, it was the Lincoln Project. They have some experts at making ads, and that was a really good ad. I think they should just play that throughout all the swing states between now and next Tuesday. That was great. Here is 4 hours, an ad from the Biden Harris campaign about just Joe Biden. I think that's what the closing ads is going to be, validating and telling people that Joe Biden is a outstanding citizen. He's a great American. He's been a great father, a great husband. He's just a decent man that has empathy for all Americans.
He took the train 4 hours every day so he could have breakfast with his boys in the morning and tuck them in at night. People in Washington didn't get why Joe Biden would travel all that way. But in neighborhoods all over this country, there's no distance parents won't go for their kids. Never underestimate the power of family or the sacrifices people will make for their children. That love, that hope, that determination, that's what fuels the American dream. It's why you stay up paying bills, sign up for that extra shift, worry about schools and health care. When Joe Biden traveled those 4 hours, he wasn't just going home for his kids. He was going to work for them too, just like he will for yours.
What a great ad, another great ad. Last two ads really make me feel very positive about Joe Biden as our next president. I think people will in this country as well. People are tired of Trump, and he's screwed up so many things. He doesn't care about Americans. He just cares about himself. I think most people know, except for his crazy 30-some% of America adore him for some reason. They're just blind. They're like following. It's kind of like a cult. They're following a cult, so they're blind to all the truth. Anyway, a week from today is going to be the big day. So I know people have voted early. I voted already. Mailed in ballot. All Washington states all mail in. So I mailed in like about a week and a half ago, and it is looked at the King County election site, and it has been received, and my vote has been counted. So I'm set. So make sure you vote, and it's going to be a great next Tuesday. I predict it'll be a fantastic day for America. Anyway, have a great day. Enjoy your Tuesday. Have a good day. Bye-bye.